Hello? Yeah. No, he's not. No, I understand. No, I get it. No, hold on. No, I'm on the phone. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yep. No, we'll reschedule. Yeah. Yeah, I'll, oh, they hung up. All right. Well, I guess we don't have Adam Driver on today. They said he called and canceled. So, we'll have to get our backup. Is Chris on? Chris, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Good. We'll go with Chris. Hi, my name's Adam, and welcome to Dork Afternoon Scuttlebutt. We have Chris on, and Jeremy's here also. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, I'm lurking.
Wait, are you lurking now, or are you actually going to be involved in this?
Oh, I'll be as involved as needed, I guess.
All right. Well, Chris, we had all done like the brief introductions before. You know when we did that little 10-minute, real quick choppy chop brief introduction of everybody. And
yeah, where I sounded like an idiot.
You didn't sound like an idiot. Why do you think you sound like an idiot?
I'm old and I've had lots of surgeries.
You're just being truthful, man. That's fine.
That's just true. Wait, Jacob's here now.
Like, it's cool, man. You know? Sometimes you get broke, man. It's no big deal.
Yeah, so last time, well, not last time. So before, when we talked with Jeremy, he and I talked about GMing, setting up, for campaigns. But since you hadn't done that, I guess, Chris, then we'll talk about character creation. So, Murphy, when you were doing character creation for Murphy, did you come in with a specific idea in mind, or how did you go about it? Or, follow-up question, what's your general strategy when making a character?
In this game or any game?
Yes. Yeah. Elaborate as much as you want.
All games.
When we did character creation here, I mean, I had a general idea in mind, but I was actually talking to our friend Trey about this. You can have a specific idea in mind, but if you roll something that's completely, like you roll skills that aren't useful, you kind of have to wing it, right? Like I was lucky where I got pretty much the prerequisites I needed to be a sniper type, but not like the one that we did just as like a practice run through. Because, I wanted to be a scout sniper. I didn't roll sniper, which sucked. But yeah, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I was willing to let the dice dictate where I went. If I started rolling skills that went into another direction, like possible medic, something like that, I was going to go with it. In the general sense, I mean, you know me, I always have an idea of what I want to do, which is typically deal damage. But like our Starfinder game, right? Like I went Solarian because that to me was like a Jedi Knight. I didn't do just like a soldier, which would be the equivalent of a fighter.
I'm pretty sure that's trademarked. I don't think you can call it a Jedi Knight.
We're gonna have to edit that part.
Okay. but I love Star Wars, right?
It's definitely not a Jedi Knight.
Yes, not.
So I love
Chris. This is what I want you to do, Chris. Real quick for me. Just say not, and then don't say anything else.
Not.
Okay, now you can go. I just needed that sample was all, so that I could cut and paste it somewhere else.
So
go ahead, please continue.
In reality, like with that one, I read the player's handbook because I got that first. I think I bought it on Amazon, and I read through all of them, and I was like, this one sounds interesting. Because so I don't know. In most of those games, I don't like playing a spellcaster because they're squishy, and I find, even though you can do a lot of damage and do fun stuff, like I find that part, and I know I sound like such a meathead, but I find that stuff boring. Like I want my guy to be like in the fight. So
Mhm.
with Murphy in Two Past Midnight, yeah, he can be a damage dealer, but from range, right? So he's mainly sniper type, and I like that idea. It'd be like an archer or Legolas. Oh gosh, I'm trademark again. But
It's okay. We have the not part, and we'll just
Yeah, we'll just,
throw that in
we'll just insert the knots before that.
Yeah.
Well, no, here's the other thing.
Not Legolas.
All right, so you said Legolas, and what was the other one you said?
or Saving Private Ryan, the
Oh.
Barry Pepper.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, what I was thinking was I was trying to figure out if anything else you said other than the J word is owned by Disney, because I think we're okay if it's Miramax. I think we're fine.
So there was that, or even like inspired by like my ideal would be like a Chris Kyle type, right? Like a SEAL,
Right.
But that was a sniper. Because I love that idea of being a deadly shot, but also like taking care of your guys, right? Like you spot something from distance as they're going down the main street of a town or whatever, and you're picking off guys that are trying to kill them. That Overwatch idea to me is like the guardian angel of the party.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it was it's definitely a cool idea, especially, and it was interesting because that was the thing, like you talked about when we first started doing Twilight 2000, was you're like, I want to play a sniper, and it was like, yeah, you totally can, and yeah, even if you didn't get the specialty sniping, or sniper or whatever it is, it's like that's just a +1 when using a sniper rifle, you know what I mean? Like you still ended up with, I think, an A and an A in ranged combat.
Right, specifically put my points into that so that I'll be a good shot regardless of what weapon I pick up, unless it's a machine gun, because my heavy weapons is nil.
Right. Yeah, so it's like, it still works.
In other games, though, in the future, like if I were to join Encore of the Lost, or if we do another show or something, I kind of want to do something that challenges me, because you guys know I kind of play to type.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always like, it's stupid. Like, I always play, it's not playing myself, it's playing an ideal. Like, what did I say? Cal in our Starfinder was like, I wanted him to be a combination of Captain America and Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before we started doing
both things
Starfinder,
owned by Disney.
Yeah, right. Before we started doing Starfinder, you even said like your previous characters were like paladins, right?
Paladin, Cavalier. My very first character was a cleric, actually.
Oh,
Paladin, Cavalier, fighter. But I'm not one who would play like a bard or a mage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bards are a very specific thing. In you can take them all sorts of different ways, and yeah, I don't see bards being your type.
Or a thief, right? Like so, but that would be something. Doing something like that is something I need, so I expand my repertoire, expand my horizons. It's just apparently I am not very good at role playing.
Maybe you're not giving yourself as much practice outside of type. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
You're not exactly like a Murphy. Not completely. I don't think so. There might be some similarities.
But I think Murph is a little bit of a departure where he's detached, right? Like I want him to have the idea of a sniper where it's like, I'm killing whoever's in my sights and do it unemotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't think that's like any of my other characters, because I've always been like, oh, got to protect my party, got to do the right thing, got to be honorable, which is why I think playing like a thief or something would be difficult for me.
Yeah. No, I get that. That makes sense.
But I think I do have a tendency to want to play characters that are like my idyllic version of me. So like always trying to do the right thing, where I like to think I do, but I don't, because I'm human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that goes into one of the things that Adam and I had talked about in one of the first Scuttlebutts is how you're playing a part, but all of those things, I mean, you're experimenting with this character in their own world, but all of those things ultimately have to come from you. And it's what you yourself are comfortable playing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even if you're playing this character that's completely outside of yourself from its base of their experience and in their life, I mean, ultimately it's all coming from you, you know?
Well, yeah, and I think that the trick is, even if it's something that's like, because it goes into GMing too a lot. Because I mean, fuck, dude, as a GM, I have to like 85% of the time, 50% of the time, maybe play people that do not see the world the same way that I do.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? And like, it requires trying to like think about that person, where they came from, and like what their point of view is, and you know, whether I think it's right or not, they at least have their own reasons for what they think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when we were talking the other day, and I don't know if cross-pollination or cross-pollinating is okay, but the other campaign that I'm in, where my party got attacked at night while they were sleeping, right? Mm-hmm. And
I heard this story, by the way.
Yeah, you heard the story, we defeated them and had them captured, and I killed all of them to send a message or use that as a deterrent from them attacking traveling parties in the future. That is not something that Chris would do, but
I mean, yeah, they can't attack people as they're traveling if they're dead. Right.
Well, he meant like as a deterrent to other people from doing the same thing, the same kind, like killed a bunch of bandits, made an example of them to like ward off other bandits, basically,
and put their heads on pikes.
Yeah.
That is very medieval.
Yeah, I went a little dark there, but so although that guy is a ranger, so I'm kind of playing the type. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do want to expand my horizons, because whether it's for our show or just as playing RPGs, I need to become a little bit more versatile in role playing. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy, I think you're right, where everything's got to come from inside a little bit. Like if you play like a dark, I don't want to say evil, but I'm sure you're pulling some of that stuff from, you know, the deepest, darkest places in your mind.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's that thing of like thinking of the worst case scenarios, or like if you, as a GM, and when you're playing a villain, you have to think about like the worst it could be, and you have to draw on, you know, those emotions, because everybody feels the same range of emotions. It's just the cause of those feelings is going to be distinct and unique to each person, you know, but the emotion itself is still really what you're pulling on for that character. And if you have a specific type of character that you like to play that's honorable, and you know, like it makes sense. Yeah.
No, well, and Adam, knowing that that's how I was playing Cal in that Starfinder game, basically spent the whole campaign trying to break him. Like of that idyllic.
Just Cal. Yeah. I was fucking with everybody the whole time.
But you were trying to make him like lose that idyllic nature.
Okay, here's the thing. We need to address something real quick.
Real quick. Cal specifically, I was trying to do that, but I was also trying to like fuck with all the characters while doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like there were like, which is when it gets complicated, is when you're trying to like do things that are important to all the characters, and a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit there, and just kind of touch this. Like sometimes it's a little thing.
I won't say the last name for copyright infringement, but I guess it still is. But,
I like how this is a gag now.
Yeah. But I think my character started out as Luke and eventually turned into Anakin.
Yeah.
Or
that's definitely not going to help any. That's gonna, yeah.
Nah, that's not no.
But that was like based on all the shit that happened.
Dude, seriously, if we get a cease and desist letter from Disney, I will consider that a win. So I almost don't want to edit any of that out. Just see what they do.
That would be an absolute win. You'd be like, you noticed us?
I mean,
you
can reference You can reference their stuff. I mean, we're not taking credit for any of the writing, so I think we're good.
No.
But I also think that that's what makes a good like campaign or a good story, right? Where you have this character or characters that have this way of thinking and how the player wants that character to be, and then a bunch of shit happens, and you're like, okay, he's broken, or all of the shit that happened changed him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to roll with the story being different. And like, yeah, towards the end of that campaign, I think Cal was like, fuck everybody.
Oh yeah, he very much was.
But that's really the story and the progression, right? Is the taking a character and challenging their perception of the world around them, and kind of expanding those horizons, even if you're doing it, from your buddy's kitchen.
Absolutely. And if you played the character the same way from start to finish, then there's no character development or growth.
Exactly.
All right, so Psalms 82:3, because that's
a good one.
Yeah, no, but it goes into what Chris was talking about like challenging and like, poking at like the characters. So like in the Two Past Midnight one, we've got the whole thing with Emmett, right? And like his, big dream versus his, moral code, and how they start to conflict. Like, and that's kind of, I think, what we were sort of talking about. You know what I mean? Is like bringing that conflict into the characters, and like kind of, because that's where the drama comes from. It can't just be, there's the bad guy, let's go punch him. There's got to be an internal, struggle, for it to be interesting and meaningful.
I don't know.
Right. And that gets into the character development of, challenging those two things of which one they prioritize. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think by this point, Murph has already been a dick to Jacob. So I'm not giving anything.
He's kind of a dick right out of the gate.
And I had no intention of playing him that way exactly, but
yeah.
My idea is, right, he's a hardo special forces guy who, like, the idea of combat is a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's seen a bunch of shit, doesn't think anything of it really, because he's probably been deployed 10 different times before this war starts.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's kind of like the jock hardo special forces guy, that somebody who's like inexperienced or not combat related in his mind, oh, that guy's a pussy.
Right. Yeah, no, and that totally makes sense. Like that's, I knew those guys when I was in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I 100% knew people like that. So, yeah.
And obviously that's not coming from experience. I mean, the jock side is, but when I was when I was in the Army, right? I was a comms guy. I was satellite communication.
Oh, you know what? I was going to ask you that at some point. I was like, I never actually asked you what your MOS was. Wait, do they call it MOS in Army, or do they call it something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually they're 30, so I was 31 Fox at first, and then I think it was 31 Sierra. But I mean, I was supposed to go to OCS after AIT.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously didn't happen.
Well, I mean, it was less about the number, because I wouldn't have known what that means. You know what I mean? Like 31, whatever. I'd have been like, I don't know what that is.
Do you call it an MOS or some other acronym?
MOS.
Okay. Yeah. That was me, like, honestly not knowing. But it was satellite comms, you said?
Yeah. So it's a long school. Cool. And at the time, I think it was it GE? Were the instructors from? It was one of those telecom companies actually supplied the instructors, and they would try to get you to get through the school and then try to get out of the military at that time it was don't ask, don't tell. So they would try to get people, like, say they're gay or smoke weed before a drug test, and then have a $50,000 a year job waiting for them.
Right. Oh, that is shady as shit.
It is shady.
Yeah, absolutely. But so, my dad was a special forces guy, but little old Chris Leslie, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a jock nerd.
Chris, it's killing me, and I'm sure of all the names you possibly could have named your character, Why the fuck did you name him Chris?
So I thought I told you this, but
I think you told me this. I don't know if you told Jeremy, but
when I moved to LA, I had a job selling shit on the phone, and my phone name was Chris Murphy. So Irish name, plus I liked Murphy's Irish Stout.
Well,
And-
it's tasty. Yeah.
And then typically with a job like that, you keep your same first name because it rolls off the tongue easy, right? So it's not like you're being fake. And I was like, that's an homage to my first job in LA. And plus it sounded like a, Irish Catholic from Boston. Fucking Irish Catholic from Southie.
So wait, so you're okay. Yeah, that part where I was saying like it comes from you. I mean, you threw a lot in there. No,
but yeah, it wasn't just for the the same first name. It just, I don't know. That was a Irish dude from Massachusetts.
I will tell you this much. I'm just glad you didn't name your character something like Kyle or Brian or Jeremy, because that would have really fucking pissed me off, and I would have made you change the character's name. I'd have been like, no. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, at least if it's your own name, it makes it easier than somebody else's name.
There was some thought of that too, because we're all, we record from our own homes, right? And I figured that would make things easy. So if you say Chris, either way, it's me.
Right, yeah.
And then, but basically, I mean, everyone, we call my character Murph anyways, so the Chris rarely comes in.
Well, I mean, I'll do like, hey, Chris, roll a block, you know what I mean? Or, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I kind of bounce back and forth between, going Murphy or Chris or whatever. But whenever it's role play, you guys definitely do a pretty good job of like sticking to the character name.
Plus, I love Murph as a nickname. I mean, every Murphy's a Murph, so.
Yeah, just like every Smith says Smitty.
Yeah, or Sullivan's a Sully.
Yep, yeah, I get it.
And everybody from Boston's got a friend named Sully.
Is it just the same guy?
It's the same. There's just one Sullivan
It's like one
in the
guy.
whole of Massachusetts.
And everybody knows him.
Well, it's like, no, is it Sully, Sully Jr., Sully Sr.?
Oh, it's
Sully
just
the
all
third.
the whole family. Yeah.
Dude, in every town in Massachusetts, there's a Sullivan, or every, good sized town, there's Sullivan's Tavern, Sullivan's Hardware, Sullivan's Lumberyard. Like,
That family must be wealthy as hell.
Well, parts of it. They probably have black sheeps, within it. They're like the black sheep Sullivans, and they don't go by Sully.
if we could find a skull or dip in Poland, Murph would definitely have a dip in pretty much 24/7.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably. That sounds about right for that era. Yeah. I think the other thing we're going to have to touch on at some point, Chris, is do you think I give you too much shit?
Oh, wow. We're going right here, huh?
Yeah, why not? I mean, let's do it. Let's just air it. We'll air our grievances.
So, listeners, you may pick up on this. Adam and I both like to be right. It is definitely a personality flaw on my part, but because we both like to be right, we tend to butt heads. And just to put everything out in the open, in our Starfinder campaign, I actually threw a D20 at Adam.
I must have missed that session.
It was after you moved, Jeremy.
Yeah, it was at my house. So I don't know if I actually threw it at him. I threw it at the wall behind him. But regardless, it was a bad look. And even after I did it, I was like, ooh, you lost your temper there.
I don't even remember what it was about at this point.
Dude, it was
probably failed a fort save.
It was probably Shadow Blend.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
it actually was. It actually wasn't. So yeah, we tend to have like an antagonistic back and forth because we both think we're right.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, you are very, we tend to argue about the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law.
Mm-hmm.
you were more letter of the law, I'm more spirit of the
Mhm.
law. Like with
Yes,
that,
I am.
so like we had a couple like with the Starfinder game. Remember,
Mhm.
I don't remember what it was.
With
There was a certain ability that if you took that ability, you lost others, but it wasn't
mhm.
written that way in the rules.
Well, it was written that way in the rules. That was why I was saying that.
It was vague. You even admitted it.
I admitted it was worded poorly,
Okay.
but
Adam Duck, he's going to throw a D20 at you.
Yeah.
it's got to go pretty far at this point. It's at least a couple miles. I'll be good.
But I do.
So like the next
to
time I
the
see Chris,
listener,
he'll just have a D20 in his pocket and throw it at me.
but to you listeners out there, I have told Adam that I think that he tends to respond condescendingly or harshly to me in this game based on our previous experiences, because there are numerous times where I seriously am not sure on a rule, and I'll say something and he'll be like, "No, it's not that." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I was legitimately asking."
And that's fair. That's a fair criticism, and you're right. I probably do that. I'm not going to disagree. That probably has happened.
I've never played this game before, so I'm typically not arguing. I'm legitimately asking. Although, to the listener, I do get angry at some point. But I take everything personally. It's another personality flaw. But so when I was sick with COVID and then pneumonia, I listened to all 10 episodes that we had in the can that weren't totally edited.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to them in like a 3-day period. I'm like, man, Adam's a dick to me. So that's why I brought that up. But I think we both bring our previous playing together into, our back and forth in this game as well.
Well, that and you guys, neither of you really have a lot of back down, so it kind of creates this feedback loop. And it's just this ping pong ball bouncing back and forth between the two of you until it finally like goes flying off into the sky and it resolves itself.
See, I've always told Adam that he would be an awesome lawyer.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, that's his nature, right? And sometimes that infuriates me.
You're also not the first person in my life to tell me that, by the way.
I'm sure.
That's why he's a great GM, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Did you listen to the other Scuttlebutt, though? Because just real quick, I wanted to dive back into a thing where we were talking about the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, i.e. in gaming, rules is written versus rules is intended, or as I'd like them to be.
That's a key phrase right there.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you would, I don't know if you'd listen to it when Jeremy and I were talking about it. Like, the reason why I try to be really strict about that is because if I try to bend it too much, there's this whole goose gander, thing that happens where, like, if you can do this, so can the bad guys. You know what I mean? And, like, I don't know. I would rather, if a character dies, it's not because I bent rules. It's because that's what the rules of the world are. You know what I mean?
I get that. And if I was on the other side of that coin, I'd be pissed too. So
that's like the cover for ranged combat that we've talked about almost to death at this point.
Oh yeah.
Where if there is wooded terrain between you and your target, it doesn't count as cover. Like the only terrain that counts as interfering with ranged combat is whatever terrain modifier that target is in.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's rules as written, but we've kind of gone back and forth on like whether that's actually rules as intended. Because if you're shooting through it, it should still have a negative, but it doesn't.
But I think that interpretation makes sense, right? So having a common sense ruling makes sense to me.
Yes, but here's the issue, and this is where it comes up. If I go with the common sense ruling, and then if I go with that as the norm, right? That it's a common sense ruling, then we spend 30 minutes talking about every fucking rule, and what the common sense ruling is on it. Whereas if we just go, this is what the rule says, let's move on, then we're not talking about one rule for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and you don't get bogged down in the minutia of whether the rule seems fair or realistic, or you just go, oh, well, that's what the rule is, and let's keep moving.
Right.
Agreed.
Now, if there was like a house rule to change it, fine. But I also don't want to, I really don't want to house rule the shit out of a game. You know what I mean? Like,
because then you just might as well write your own game.
Yeah.
But, this also comes into me not knowing the rules of the game that we're playing 100%, which I read them, but it's putting them into practice, right? Like,
right. Yeah, it always is. I mean, I've been learning it too, but.
I mean, I think that goes for all of us though, because we're all of us
we're all
are
learning it.
Really new to Twilight 2000 for sure. And we're all kind of figuring out the game mechanics and how to operate these brand new characters that we have. Because, I mean, we've only been playing them for, like a handful of sessions at this point. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're on year 2 of, this long-ass campaign just starting out. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we're all still very much learning the rules. And, there's going to be errors. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to happen inevitably. I just was purely answering to the philosophical approach to the rules, why I try to maintain the rule as written as much as possible. You know what I mean? Without trying to throw in my own interpretation of it. Because once I start, now I will fill a gap. You know what I mean? Like if there's a gap where it doesn't have a rule to it that applies to it, I'll make some shit up that works for that. You know what I mean? But that's different, But if there is a rule already, I try to not ignore it and change it because, then I'm, changing the game at that point. I mean, I could as referee, that is within my, purview of like my job description, I guess. That's just my philosophy on GMing or refereeing or whatever you want to call it for whatever game you're playing.
Well, plus then you would have to remember that precedent going forward.
Right, exactly. And then I got to write it down on that fucking page. And it's easier just to be like, the rule says this. Just do that. It says this.
So to circle back to what started this discussion.
Chris is whining.
But our antagonistic approach to each other is, I think, both of us react to rocks being thrown at us by throwing rocks and boulders back.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There are times where I think you threw a rock and you think I threw a rock when neither of us intentionally did. Like it was actually innocent, but we took it as a rock being thrown at us. So we get our hackles up and throw a rock back.
Yeah. No, I agree. That definitely happens. But I think the one advantage, Chris, is that you and I kind of know that about each other, and we'll hit a point, and it's kind of like, oh, we're just being shitty, and we can like back off. You know what I mean? Because I catch myself doing that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm being shitty.
When we would play in person, both of us would like give a look to each other and be like, okay, we're being shitty. Okay, let's reel it back in.
Exactly. But yeah, that is one of the disadvantages of doing Discord this way without like video the way we do it. Because then you can't see like,
It's kind of like text versus conversation. You may not be missing tone, but you're missing you're missing like facial expression and intent.
Right. Yeah, because I guarantee there are times where I've been more exuberant with my voice than like where I have like a grin on my face when I'm saying it, because I'm fucking with you. You know what I mean? And I don't mean fucking with you in a mean way. I just mean like I'm like poke, Oh,
I get it.
Yeah.
And I tend to react
because that is one of the. Yeah, I know.
I react like a wounded bear when poked sometimes.
Wounded kitty cat.
but hey, to all you listeners out there, it goes to the mass hole with a chip on his shoulder.
Oh man. Well, and that's the other thing too, Chris, is I had said something to Jeremy about this too. It's like I've lived in a lot of different parts of the country, right? So like when I'm talking to like Jeremy, like I guess my family side comes out in that, and it's totally different. That and we fuck with each other all the time. It just both of us just laugh it off, and like sometimes there have been times where it did not get laughed off. and we've had to like have some serious conversations. But I don't remember. We had a fight about something. I don't remember what it was now. It was an editing thing, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah,
real early on, it was a fucking editing thing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's bad.
I think the whole podcast almost died there.
It did almost die because yeah.
But I think I know where you're going with this, right? I think people from the Northeast tend to be more thin-skinned, and I think I'm more thin-skinned than most, which again, personality flaw.
Right, which is where I'm going with this too. Is I think that I have a tendency, because I've lived in a few different places, and I feel like I've developed different personas based on where I've lived, that like I jump back and forth between them sometimes, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It does, but you know what's weird about that, right? So I grew up in Massachusetts, but lived in California for 17 years.
Oh, yeah. No, so both of our like East Coast personalities butt heads is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Those are the personalities that are butting heads. Is my Baltimore and your Boston.
Yeah, I would get that. Because I do have a laid back side sometimes, which I guess people would assume is the living in California at the beach for a long time. But when
hold on, you have a laid back side? Dude, I have not seen it.
I do.
That's because you've seen them around me, and I fuck with them a lot.
That's fair. That's fair.
But this kind of goes back to when we were talking about there's no winning in a role playing game, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The idea is to have fun and go through the campaign and all that. But I'm so competitive in everything and want to win, even though there's no winning in this. That I think that's why you don't ever see that laid back side, because it's like keeping score almost, right? If you keep scoring anything, I want to win. And you don't keep score in a role-playing game, but I want my character to do well. I don't know how to describe it. It brings out the competitive nature in me, I think.
All right, so Jeremy and I, when we first began the editing process, and I'm getting to a point with this that's on topic. When Jeremy and I first began the editing process of, I believe it was Encore the Lost, where we had this huge fight, we had to come to an agreement, right, that the GM is the director, right, of as if it was a show or a movie or something like that. Like that's their primary function, right? And where I'm getting with this is, if I were a film director, I am unfortunately someone like Kubrick, where I will intentionally antagonize people to get specific responses from them for dramatic reasons. So
yeah, that makes sense. And you know what I am? The thin-skinned volatile actor.
Yeah, what's her name from The Shining? I can't remember her name. What was it?
Oh, I was thinking.
Not saying that it was good that Kubrick did that, because it's fucking terrible. You know, like the level that he fucking harassed her about. But I'm just saying that like I have a tendency to like poke people into method acting, if that makes sense, or at least to get like a rise out of them to bring the drama out of the moment. You know, like.
Yeah, and I have like a Sean Penn level of volatility.
Yeah. So it's an easy poke. It's just like.
Or I can't. God, the name is escaping me right now, even though I know he's an amazing actor. My Left Foot, Bill the Butcher.
Billy Bob Thornton?
No.
Oh, you're talking about Carl Urban.
No.
Right?
No.
Oh,
so.
God.
My Left Foot.
That's not Billy Butcher? Isn't that
Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York?
Oh,
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes.
Yes, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Wait.
Last of the Mohicans?
Wait. Are you legitimately comparing yourself to Daniel Day-Lewis
right I'm talking about volatility.
Oh, okay.
Because, that dude was a method actor for a long time, and he'd be a complete dick on set.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that volatile actor, I think sometimes I have that, whatever the opposite of quality is.
Quantity?
No, you mean
detriment.
Detriment, yeah. personality flaw.
Yeah, and I've used that term like 5 times in this little discussion. So I think I have a lot of personality flaws I need to work on.
Oh yeah, so do I.
Yeah, we all
but,
do.
But the other thing is too, and like you and I talked about this too, Chris, is that there's times that I will play things up more than I actually feel, just because the moment seems like it needs that. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And it's not intended to be personal. It's just I'm like, oh, this thing, and
yeah. But I also at times will react overboard intentionally.
Oh yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. We're fine. I love you, man.
I love you too, brother. Like we discussed, because my friend Ross was there, who GMs a different game, right? He and I had like almost like a yelling match, but it was a literal court scene, and we played it up like it was A Few Good Men. And then afterwards, we weren't mad at each other. It was like, hey, that was good role play.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exactly how it should be, especially with like role play moments like that. It should be like that's what the characters are doing. So,
but sometimes I think for some reason, you and I have a hard time. Like, I don't know. We get into the headbutting and lose character sometimes.
Oh, I agree 100%. 100%.
You know what it is? We're both fucking prideful as hell.
Oh yeah, totally. No, yeah, that's the part of purgatory that's going to hold me back the most. Yeah, I get it.
Yep. Ditto. So I know our time's almost up, but you're going to be able to edit out a lot of this shit.
Yeah, this will probably get cut down to like about 45 minutes.
I am curious to see where Murph goes character-wise, because based on the storyline, I don't like he in my mind, right? He's career soldier, right? But his family was affluent. I think my idea for the backstory is his parent or his dad like owned numerous sporting goods stores like throughout the Northeast, and he had to go to like rich private school and play the stupid rich kid sports like lacrosse and swimming and bullshit like that, where he wanted to play football and baseball and that sort of thing. And so he rebelled, joined the military, and then went full on hardo, and that's why he went special forces. And so career military, now we're in a situation where the whole chain of command is broken. We're just a bunch of dudes that got thrown together in a POW camp and left, right? So
right.
My guy's a staff sergeant, and his instinct will be, hey, private, you're under me. And that's just not the way that shit's going to go. So I think that there's the possibility for character growth there, and I'm not sure what direction to take it in.
Yeah, no,
and
totally.
That's something that will have to evolve as the show goes on. So I don't know if he's going to become more of a dick or if maybe he'll grow up. I don't know.
If you know exactly where your character is going at the beginning, you're not playing a role-playing game. You've stopped rolling dice and you're just writing a book.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. But I'm just as curious about it myself.
Right.
So like I like the challenge of, so this happened, how would he react to that?
Mm-hmm. So and then how would that then change his direction, and like how would that change, his values or his, as the game has a big dream or moral code type of stuff. But yeah,
absolutely.
I love that mechanic.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like it, yeah. And especially since it's like rewarded mechanically, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like it makes it a more integral part of the game. It's like, no, it's the things you need to try to do so that you can like, level up, or you can get bonuses if you, can be like, this fits with my moral code. It's like, okay, cool. Give yourself +1.
Can we get into my big dream or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. At this point, the big dream?
Because Murph's big dream is not game related whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Because this...
No, that's fine. Go ahead. Yeah, go into it.
Because,
it's funny, and I think it's amazing.
This is the year 2000, right? And Murph, like Chris Murphy, is from Massachusetts. and is a Red Sox fan, and when he was sniping would wear a Red Sox hat backwards. So his whole big dream is for the Red Sox to win the World Series because they don't really win until 2004, and they hadn't won since 1918. So that is like his big dream in life, is for the Red Sox to win. And I'm hoping at some point in the game, like, we can bring that up. I think I mentioned it. His big dream is not game related whatsoever, but I think, like, character wise, like, he would die a happy man if the Red Sox won the World Series.
I think that's
Right.
a really interesting big dream, though, because that speaks to a person that has had a very full life. You know, like, they've been places and seen things, and their big dream is to see this baseball team win the World Series. You know, like, it seems so trivial, but it's meaning, like, it's impactful because he's already, you know, been around the world and seen all this shit and done some amazing things that he's just like, I just want them to win, you know?
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's interesting.
I actually, oddly enough, I think this circles back to our discussion about being thin skinned and stuff. Red Sox fans for years had an inferiority complex because
you lose for that long. That happens. Look at the Browns.
Right, and so the Yankees, New York, are right next door, right? And they were winning all the time. Red Sox hadn't won since 1918. And, like, you have generations of people who had never seen the Red Sox win. Grandparents, parents, kids never saw them win. It was always like waiting for the other shoe to drop. They would always lose in some fucking heartbreaking fashion. In 86, they were one strike away from winning the World Series and fucked it up. Mookie Wilson ground ball through Bill Buckner's legs.
Adam, did he start speaking a different language?
What? No, he just.
No, I just don't know anything about baseball.
Sorry,
no.
but what I'm saying is there's like a built-in inferiority complex with that, but that makes sense for his big fucking dream, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. No, the funny thing is, I actually lived in Baltimore when the Red Sox won the World Series, and I remember being excited. I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like, I wasn't even a Red Sox fan. I was just like, "Holy shit, they might win!" You know, like, just as the fact that it's like, "Oh my God, the Red Sox might win the World Series." As a Cubs fan, I was like, if the Red Sox could win, maybe the Cubs will win eventually.
And then it happened 2 years later.
It was a while later when the Cubs won. They didn't
Maybe
win
it was
until
4 years
2000. No, it was a while later because it was 2000.
We won in 2004. I think they won in 2008.
Nope. They lost. They went to the playoffs. 2016 was when they won.
Oh shit! You know what?
It was because it was against Cleveland.
It was the fucking White Sox that won the next year. No. So yeah, it was 2016 in the Cubs. So okay. Anyways, so
no, the point was maybe not. The point was when I lived in Baltimore, like, and I would bring it up about how excited I was about the Red Sox, you know, potentially winning the World Series. Like, the Orioles fans in Baltimore were all pissed off, like, fuck the Red Sox. I'm like, how can you not root for them? Like, they have not won since fucking forever, you know? Like, why would you root against that? Like, let them have a win.
And you know, ironically, something coming full circle. Sorry, Jeremy, for the baseball talk, but growing up, my favorite athlete of all time was not a Boston athlete. It was Cal Ripken Jr., who played for the Baltimore Orioles. The Iron Man played in 2,632 straight games, something like that.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah, and that's why I wore number 8 in every sport I played, was because Cal Ripken's number was 8. Whenever I tell people that, they're like, "You're from Boston. Why is an Oriole your favorite player?" And so, yeah, so talk about a whole conversation coming full circle.
Yeah. Oh man, we've totally broken the rule about not talking about sports, but I'm gonna have to leave this in at the end. I don't even care.
But yes, so for game purposes, I'm very curious where Murph goes as this story goes on, because I don't know how it's going to happen, but I want it to happen organically. Like Jeremy said, I don't want to have a plan. But I also, I don't want him to, like, have a personality schism either. Like, flip the switch and all of a sudden he's a nice guy. Like, that's not going to happen.
No, probably not. No.
Well, you're still playing him, so.
Man. am the asshole, huh?
No, here's the
Actually, I'm probably the asshole.
Jeremy's an asshole too. Don't worry about it. We're all a bunch of us are assholes. I mean, really, that's kind of what I think the moral of the story is we're all assholes.
I always like to joke that I can be an M&M, right? Like the rough exterior, soft inside, especially when it comes to dogs. But I don't know. That's that is funny that I do come across that. I mean, I've made that joke, is it Yahoo? Am I the asshole? And for me, the answer is always yes.
Oh, it was Reddit. Reddit is what you're talking about. The Reddit.
Okay, yeah.
Is that on Yahoo?
Yeah.
And the answer is always yes, Chris. You are the asshole.
Was that on some kind of chat board?
AOL.
We'll see how it goes. But the one thing that I will say about this is every time I know we're going to record, I get excited to do it. Like I am enjoying where this is something that like I'm always excited to play the game, play the character, and see what's going to happen next. And I hope our audience feels the same way.
I feel the same way, man. Like every time we're about to record, like every day, I'm just like, oh my God, this is fucking great. We're going to play tonight, And I have like my ideas about, things because like I'd said before, like I learned after the first couple sessions not to draw the event cards during the session, to draw them ahead of time so that I know what it is. So I can like be prepared so that the game moves and it doesn't stop every time I draw a card, So it's fun. I like it that way.
I think that's a cool thing about this game. When you were saying it's open, like there's not, like your Pathfinder, right? You're playing an adventure path. This is so open that we can make decisions to do almost anything. And so you have an idea of where it's going, but not really, because we can make decisions that completely screw with what you have in your head.
Oh yeah, totally.
And the fact that this is modern weapons and everything kind of adds a level of realism to it. It makes it much more relatable, and I think easier to adapt to things, because it's like, especially with three of us having military experience too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Chris.
My pleasure. I love this game. I love the show, and I'm excited to see where it goes and how the dynamic of the party /squad /fire team goes.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'm really excited to see where it goes, because yet again, like I said before, there's not a big bad evil sorcerer somewhere like manipulating everything from behind the scenes. So it'll be interesting to see where this story goes.
So speaking of that, but before we stop, sorry, and I love the fact that there isn't really a big baddie or a prime, like a goal, like you're going to save the princess. No, you're just trying to survive.
Right.
That's the goal of the game, is just to live to see tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know. And that was what I was saying to Jeremy too before, is like the big bad of the game is the world. And it's kind of, interesting for that reason. But, all right, cool. Well, we'll probably have to close it up here, because I think we're hitting that time. So like I was saying, Chris, thank you for sticking around. Sorry I give you a lot of shit. I love you.
Ditto, my friend.
So, sometimes I'm an asshole to you, but I have a thin skin too. And I know I have a tendency to overreact. So, but I love you.
As do I. Yeah. As do I. I love you too, brother.
All right, man. All right. Well, and I guess that's it.